Some can reach a level that will keep our exports competitive.
The lady has foolishly attempted to join the conversation with a wild and dangerous opinion of her own. What harm?
War has come to Middle-earth.
This is the work of Sauron.
Our armies cannot defeat him. Once the deceiver obtains a being's trust, he gains the ability to sculpt their very thoughts. You are wise to fear these rings. In Sauron's hands, they could work an evil beyond reckoning.
Aegion must not fall. It would be a mortal blow for all Middle-earth.
Sooner or later, Sauron's eye bores a hole. The rest of him slithers in. You sought peace. I gave it to you. This is hardly a gift.
Yeah, well, that's enough of that. Okay, so welcome to episode 4 of season 2, Rings of Power, Chew the Fat, in-depth discussion and review with me and Blue. Do you see how that rhymed? It all just came out.
Oh my God, it's genius, I tell you.
Yeah, I was moderating the Drinkers channel
Nice.
earlier tonight, and they spent the first hour tearing this episode a new arsehole. But I've got some opposing views on certain bits of it. So
Really? I get this.
yeah, chat, don't hate me. Now listen, I'm going to caveat everything with a big statement at the beginning before we dive into this. But let's just say hello to people. Got James Willard. That thumbnail isn't all disturbing, Lance. Well, I used to have hair as long and as blonde as that image, so that is what I used to look like, funnily enough. So Ryan Randall's here, popping on after open bar. Gary Bando Kit Kat Sandwich Worthington is here. I do love that name. Bush McFadden. Why are you still watching this crap? Or you're still watching this crap? I assume that's a rhetorical question.
I'm not doing it by choice, but
no. Well, hey man, you reminded me we had this stream on. I was going to completely forget.
Oh God, that should have made you forget.
Snorterpoopus Q Burr is here. I first met Snorterpoopus on Lorena Creole's channel in the chat. And now he's dipping into my stream, so I really appreciate that, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate it.
We have Darth Plato is here. We don't even know where Galadriel was during these events. Well, there was a big map sequence at one point.
Oh, this is when you'll see the stills, Lance. This is the episode. They should call this the wide shot episode because I've never seen this many wide shots in a single episode of a television show.
Before we get into it, let's talk through the episode and what the content of it, so to speak.
Do you know what it's called?
It's called episode 4.
Yeah, it's called "The Trees Have Thoughts."
Oh, okay, I couldn't find the title of it anywhere. Okay, the trees have thoughts. All right,
that's what's listed under. So,
I mean, it could be called the trees poop, but it's all good. All right. Well, look, hang on, you're going too fast with the stills here. Whoa. Let's get back to the beginning.
It's not autoplay, sir.
Back to the beginning. What's going on?
That's what New York Times called it. The Trees Have Thoughts.
This is not an Enzo stream where we watch everything at times 4 speed. I actually watched this episode twice. As soon as it finished, because I knew I missed a couple of things, I put it straight back on again. So we open with that. Get that first shot that you had of the
sure
thing. Oh man,
professional setup here.
Oh, cool, Ryan. You made a great decision there, mate. Hi guys, sorry it's not much. Listen, any super chat I always appreciate because no one's got any money at the moment, mate. So I don't ever apologize for that. After watching your stream on Spartacus, I decided to watch the first 2 episodes of The Shield. Really enjoying it so far, mate. You've no idea how much you're going to enjoy that show, and you're going to enjoy every season of that show, and it just gets better and better and better.
I agree.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that show because I mean, there's few shows that I like more than that show, and I'm going to really be able to get into it because I've gone over so many things. I've spoken to people from the production. I've spoken to the creator. I've spoken to Michael Chiklis, and it might be that we may get some people who worked on the show coming on. I've already got one confirmed, so.
Right.
We'll see. Funnily enough, Michael Chiklis just tweeted about 10 minutes ago, how grateful he is for that experience, that show. And I put underneath it. It's funny you should say that, Michael, because we're going to be talking about it in 2 weeks, and I have spoken to him before. So.
It's been 20 years, Lance. Oh, my God.
Has it been 20 years since The Shield dropped?
I think 2002 it started.
It was the same year as The Wire, so yeah, you might well be right. Anyway, okay, back to Rings.
Something equally as good, right?
Back to Rings of Punana. So, okay, so we got this opening shot of this vista of the river and all of that. I quite liked that. That for me was quite Lord of the Ringsy. I quite like this. They did this crane shot. I mean, I know that there's very minimal set there, probably the door and some grass and whatnot, and the rest of it's all green screen. But it was well lit and it kind of looked nice. And what I'll say about this episode, and I want to reserve most of my thoughts until we've just gone through it, but one of the things I'll say about this episode from the off is it felt, of all the episodes of Rings of Power, this one felt the most Tolkien to me.
That's not a bad assessment. I'll give you that. And some of the music was very, The
music was great. The music was really good.
Yeah.
I think the music for the show's been consistent. That's one of the things that has been consistently good.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so this is very much a sort of we've got in this episode we've basically got three narratives. I liked all this because this makes the show feel epic. It makes it feel big. It gives it that kind of Peter Jackson, New Zealand vibe.
That's the first thing as I'm watching, is thinking like they're really trying to capture what Peter Jackson did in the films. I'm not saying I love this show, but you can tell this is the aesthetic they're trying to go for this episode.
Yeah, and all of these shots would be icing on the cake if the meat of the show was amazing.
Yeah.
But just talking about them as an individual aspect, I like them. I'm glad they're going for big wide shots.
Like honestly, if you told somebody who never saw Rings of Power, if you showed them these shots, you couldn't objectively say these are terrible shots.
No, they're fine.
That's why I said some people. I get the whole it's trendy for certain people to hate everything Rings of Power, but you and me are talking about this from an objective, aesthetic point of view.
Yeah, we dissolve to a map so we can kind of get a sense of where we are, and this actually links into a line later where somebody says, and I won't say who yet. Somebody says before the mountains grew up in the middle, the middle. This was one forest. So that's how the forest got split in two. And if you kind of know where you are,
that was actually the tree ants say that later on.
No, I know. I was trying to wait for that as a surprise. Never mind. You're blowing it now. One of the ents says that later. Yeah, and I'm a little confused with the map and some of the names because these are places and names that are not on the map of Middle Earth that we know from the Fellowship of the Ring era, but that's because the landscape and the names change. So I have a theory about that. Okay, so Galadriel has a brief conversation with Elrond and says, look, we need some Star Trek red shirts to go on a mission.
Also, diverse red shirts.
Yeah, can we have 2 swordsmen and somebody who's good with a bow? And they actually get 4 people. Just they've got an extra one just in case somebody gets offed. Now, there's an actor that I directed in a show all the way back in, I think it was 2001, called Peter Landy, and he's in this episode. He's listed in the cast list, and I was trying to find him in the show, and I watched it twice, and it's still not. He must be covered up in makeup because I don't know who he is. But I'm going to show you his picture, and you might go, "Oh, he was that guy." So if we go to the cast list for just a sec,
that guy in that thing,
the guy in that thing. So this is Peter Landy here. I directed him in a play. He played a character called Mr. Rastapopoulos, which is actually I'll tell you where that name comes from. Do you remember the name of the no, his character was called Rasta Popperkettle, and do you remember that's the name of the big head that ends up in the Simpsons basement that's given to them as a present?
Wow.
Mr. Burns.
Damn.
Yeah. So anyway, Peter is in the show, and at first I was trying to spot who he was, and I thought he might be that elf in that shot, but that's a different actor actually. So it's not him. Oh, who's that? So yeah, so there's evil in them there hills. So the bridge is out, and because they don't have any elvish rope, even though they're a group of elves and they're going on a really big quest and traveling a long distance, they don't have any elvish rope. Very strange. They've got two routes. One is longer, one is shorter, and immediately the ring glows, and she says, "Oh, that way there's evil. There's evil that way." But Elrond, because he's stubborn and annoying, and we have to kind of portray him as an idiot, says, "Well, we're going that way." So okay,
it's a small thing, Lance. I know we always joke that you guys say lieutenant because we say lieutenant. It's just the way we were raised.
Yeah.
In Lord of the Rings, did elves? I just don't remember the Jackson trilogy. The terms lieutenant, was that ever ranks giving out? And
yeah,
okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's referred to in this scene, and I don't remember anyone being referred to as a rank other than a captain in the Jackson trilogy. There were captains of the guard and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but that was with the humans.
That's what I'm saying. Like I never remember Elrond or like Ledger, and I just never remember the elves when you fought in Two Towers. Maybe it's a small thing, but like the term the term lieutenant, I've just never knew elves had those rankings. Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to tell. And if these elves all come from one tribe, I don't really care about the diverse group of people in the squad. You know, it's fine. They could have, over time, that group of elves could have, recruited people from here, there, and everywhere. But it does look a bit odd. I'll be honest.
I mean, I do it for comedy purposes, but of course, Lance, we know why it's done because.
Well, I think. Hey, Stitch! I saw you in Open Bar earlier, and you gave me a shout out. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of missed opportunities in terms of where it would have been good to do, some really good, whatever you want to call it, different racial casting mixes. This tribe, this group, could all be actors from this certain group. And then this tribe or this group could all be actors who look like this, like they're from Iran or Turkey or, the Middle East kind of thing. And then this group really should look like this because there are dark elves. We know that, but I don't think they're these elves in the Tolkien timeline.
Yeah, good type by Snortopupus, like he says. He's like, elves wouldn't do it, but of course Boromir, but like you said, Lance of humans,
Yeah, so he said that they're used in the books, but not for elves. So okay, it did feel odd. I felt that word really stood out, and it was interesting that they used the English version of it because, of course, elves need to speak posh.
Lieutenant.
So, they've got to be posh. It's got to be lieutenant, not lieutenant. Do you remember when I first heard that word, lieutenant, that I can remember as a kid? It was from the film Battle of the Bulge when those soldiers are going, "What are we going to do now, lieutenant?" And the
first time I heard the word lieutenant, I'm like, why did you guys say the word lieutenant? They're saying it wrong.
My casting director told everybody off at the read through of the Pegasus Bridge script. Said, "Look, guys, it's lieutenant, not lieutenant. Stop Americanizing it." It was quite funny.
Yeah. So we're back to not Gandalf.
Yeah, so we're back to not Gandalf, and Norrie and Poppy.
And there he is. Everybody's waiting for him. There he is.
Right. So Tom Bombadil.
Mhm.
Right. Gonna say, I really enjoyed this guy's performance as Tom Bombadil. I thought he was good.
I did like this actor, and the
I
wrong
like this
people.
actor anyway.
Yeah, the wrong people will say, see one thing that the show did that Peter Jackson never did. You know, this show is better, and we know why Peter Jackson didn't do it for, because it would have been like 10-hour movies each one.
Oh no, I mean it's an unnecessary story, story beat.
But I could just see the right producers saying, well, see, this is something that the Rings of Power did that the Jackson films never did. We have Tom Bombadil, and I'm not even the biggest Tolkien fan, but like even I know who Tom Bombadil is.
Well, this is Tom Bombadil was played by actor Rory Kinnear. Rory Kinnear is the son of Roy Kinnear. Roy Kinnear is Veruca Salt's dad in the original Willy Wonka movie with Gene Wilder.
Nice.
So this is Roy Kinnear's son, and some people may remember for a bit of trivia that Roy Kinnear actually died as a result of falling off a horse during the filming of one of the Musketeer films.
Yeah, he probably had the best acting of the entire show.
I thought he was. I thought his dialogue as Bombadil was actually it felt quite right for Bombadil, because Bombadil speaks in all this nonsense.
Oh yeah, that's like, what the hell is he saying? He speaks in riddles, and it's Tom.
Yeah, which actually makes sense to him. I quite liked all that. So
yeah, and that's always like the problem you have with these characters, which Tolkien, I guess made it for the books, but the godlike beings, it takes away the drama when someone can do anything. There's no stakes, and that's why also they take him out of the films because he can just snap his fingers and destroy the planet or whatever it's.
So not Gandalf is separated from the Half-Foots at this time.
He really wants a staff, Lance,
because they haven't reconnected since the sandstorm, right?
Yes, which they should have both died from. But,
right. Okay. And so he tries to take something off this is Old Man Willow, this tree. This is the same Old Man Willow that tries to eat Sam and Frodo. This was a great line. That was one of the best lines in the episode. So you found the goat. I actually, do you know what? Not Gandalf being separated from the Half-Orcs was a relief. And I actually found the scenes with him and Tom Bombadil, actually, I really liked them. I thought they were good. They felt very Tolkien. Bombadil felt very Tolkien.
Yeah, that's what we said. I agree with you. And we're fair, we'll give credit where credit's due. Yeah,
so I thought those scenes on their own. Now, look, for the benefit of the 13 people watching, I'm not saying those scenes have saved this show, nor am I saying going forward tonight that any of the things that I'm going to talk about that I like have of themselves saved this show. But I felt, for me at least, and I did have a chat with Drinker on the phone about this earlier today. We were texting back and forth about it, and I said, well, actually, there was a couple of things I quite liked about the episode. I was quite surprised. I was like, oh, I'm actually quite interested in this scene. Is this the same program? Have I got the right program on?
No, you're right. You're right, Boosh. It's just because, me and Lance, when you get into this atmosphere, it's so trendy to just hate everything. Every second of every minute of every episode for certain people, it does.
I'm not afraid to say what I like about something. This show has a lot of problems, but for me, this was the best episode so far of both seasons by far. It was, for me, it was getting there. It felt like Tolkien. There were some scenes that were good. There was some acting that was good. There was some dialogue that was good. There was some stuff that was pants, and we'll talk about the pants stuff as we go. But I mean, maybe we should just talk about these things as we go along. Yeah. I liked this narrative. I liked Bombadil. He's a great actor. Then we come back to the Half-Foots again.
Again, another wide shot.
I like that. That's all good.
I'm just laughing because there's so many.
Yeah, I mean, I like that because it makes the show feel epic. Listen, if I was a director and I had those locations and I could see those shots and I was filming this show, I would be grabbing them. I'd get a second unit guy to go for the camera and shoot those mountains. I quite liked this actor. I thought he was all right. I quite liked his character.
Merrimack, and he's an out Harfoot.
I liked the fact that him and Poppy started flirting, and Norrie didn't like it, and I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. We're actually having some dynamics with these characters. They're starting. I mean, the Harfoots are probably the worst written characters in this show.
Oh yeah,
and I don't particularly like what's happening with their storyline, but this whole sequence wasn't as naff as their stuff normally is. So when we came into this, I thought, okay, they've built a semi-decent set here. Now, there's my friend Tanya Moody. So Tanya is a mate of mine, and she only announced that she was in Rings of Power about a week ago.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And I said, oh, congratulations, and da-da-da. Or she announced it just before it started, I think the day before the first 3 episodes dropped. So I was looking for her in the first 3 episodes, and of course she's not in there. I haven't got to collar her yet, but as soon as I do, I'm going to say to her about the accent that she chose. Were you given that as a specific? What was the background? I want to know. Now, she's great casting for the leader of this, because these people have been stuck out in the desert, etc. And they're stores, and I quite like that. And the stores did exist in Tolkien. And then this whole narrative of, so this is how the seeds are planted, that actually they can live in caves, in holes, burrowed into the sides of hills. I quite like that. I quite like that this is setting up what we see in the future. I quite like that. Yeah. Is it done really well? Not especially, but there were some things I liked about it.
Which also, again, we talk about humans and demographics, and they're fictional characters, but the humanoids. If you had a desert climate, people would not look like you or me living in a desert climate. That's how things work. So casting people like this is when you cast people like that. People that they're like Nordic descent don't live in a desert.
No. What did you think of her character and acting?
I mean, for the show, she was okay, and I did like the tension, because like these 2 kids here, bootleg Frodo and Sam, are like, you guys are Harfoots. No, we're actually not Harfoots. And she was fine for what she is. She's just trying to keep her people safe. They're very strict about their rules, and they still, like, to her, wizards are evil because they've only experienced a dark wizard.
So we cut briefly back to this dark wizard character.
As we said, I do like the helmet. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I do. I like those guys. Yeah. I think they're kind of underused. Now, this guy, I don't think will turn out to be Saruman, because Saruman isn't around at this point, and he is slowly corrupted. So he wouldn't be evil at this stage anyway. Yeah. So this is not going to be Saruman. This is not going to be Gandalf. This is just another character.
But they do acknowledge the fact that whoever the stranger is, he is an Istar, which is their version of wizards and angels. Yeah,
it's a brief scene. Yeah. He's not getting a lot of dialogue. Before we move on to this bit, I've got a question here, which I think is a bit of a glitch. Now, we established that place with the 3 buildings where the Dark Wizard is living is some distance away from the desert that the Harfoots are, because the riders had to go on horseback, and they had to find them, they had to track them, and so on. So that guy's traveled that huge distance. He's been engaged by not Gandalf. In the storm, 2 of his men got killed. He's now gone back home again to report. And the guy says, well, go and follow them again. So he goes straight back out again. Now, he's either got the fastest horse on the planet or some special teleportation device that we're just not seeing, like a Plantier he's puts his hands on and he appears in the nearby hills, because the speed at which he then catches up with the Harfoots in the episode, or their location at least, is a nonsense. And that's some of the stuff in this show that I just think's a bit shit. Why don't we have a scene where he somehow receives a message from the Dark Wizard. Either it's via an emissary or it's via a speaking bird, or that Saruman controlled the birds and they would all like swarm around and be his like eyes and ears and come back and report to him. You could have the same kind of thing happen, or you can have one of those weird ladies that they turn into whatever it is, the loads of flies, and then they come and reform. Have that. He's not going to go all the way back. By the way, this has just happened. Okay, good. Get back out again. What the fuck's that? That makes no sense whatsoever.
I take it as he's riding an evil horse, and evil horses can move faster.
Evil horse that's like very fast.
See? Yeah. He's riding a normal horse. I go Darth Plato just said, stop applying logic.
Stop applying logic. Just consume product. Don't ask questions. Well, I'm sorry, but these things are actually, even though I've got some praise for this episode, these things are important to me. I want logic in this world of some sort. Okay, so now we're back to
Tom
Bombadil, and he does his whole thing with the tree and says, "Free Gandalf, drink deep from the earth," and all that stuff. Very similar to the dialogue he had in the book. Then Gandalf's having a bath. He's kind of being perved on by Bombadil, which is all a bit weird. And then he appears to be speaking to a woman who isn't there. I think that's something that also happens in the book. I vaguely remember.
I'm sure someone in the chat will know.
I haven't read them for a long time, but I have a vague recollection of Bombadil having conversations with characters we didn't actually meet.
Yeah,
like they were either in his head or only he could see them. And then you hear him singing with a woman. Again, though, I liked this scene. These scenes were good. I was interested. I was interested in not Gandalf's relationship with Bombadil and what information not Gandalf was going to get. And I liked Bombadil's dialogue. So again, praise for Rory Kinnear. I quite like the actor that plays not Gandalf. He's quite good as well.
Yeah, because he does tell him, it's like, what are you? I'm old, and I was here before everything, for the stars and the trees, and and he's like talking about himself in the third person, which is always funny.
Yeah. He's played by excuse me, yawning there, Daniel Wayman. So yeah, this was all fine. I think Rory Kinnear easily stole this episode for the acting.
Oh, yeah.
Bombadil, by far. For sure. Can you teach me how the magic staff works?
Also, how to wield the staff.
Yeah, that all sounded a bit.
Still kind of funny. He's like, the trees, like, remember, say he, but it's like I wanted to stab. Why didn't you just ask him? Like, didn't think I should ask a tree.
Yeah. But one of that narrative, definitely one of the better elements of this episode, and also decent. Those scenes would be decent if the rest of the script was of equal measure. So we've got another wide vista.
So many.
Just in case we've forgotten where we are in the desert again.
Now, of course, Rune, which, like people said in the last episode, why would you whitewash the one place? Anyway,
that's where the Dark Wizard is.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get a map up of. Now this is in the Second Age, right?
Allegedly, yeah. Let's go with that.
Map of the First Age or Second Age?
According to them, they say the Second Age.
Okay, all right. Middle Earth map, Second Age. Okay, I think I've got it. One wiki to rule them all. It's got something. So let's have a look. Let's see if I can get this to a decent size. Why is it covered with blibs? Do you love to play video games? Fuck off.
As you're pulling up, one thing I do like is when whatever, not Gandalf asks him, like, are you gonna fight? Like, I'm a wanderer, not a warrior. Because again, if Tom could just easily just end all this stuff by snapping his finger, I do like, that's also a problem making godlike characters. So you don't want Tom fighting. You don't want Tom fighting because then there's no point of anything if Tom can just whistle and destroy everybody.
So, where is Run in this? Oh, it's there. Okay, so Run is north of Mordor, because this is what becomes Mordor here. Yeah, all right. And so a lot of the storyline is probably taking place in this area and in these forests, I'm guessing.
Sure.
I mean, don't really know. And I'm trying to work out where the elves are traveling from initially. That's something which I find a bit confusing, because we know that there are elves in this forest, which ultimately becomes Mirkwood. We know that there's elves in some other parts, but yeah, don't know. So I'm not sure where they're traveling from, but we're going to come to the undead sequence in a minute. Now, the Barrow Downs are located, although they're not on the map of this age, they're located somewhere in this region here, I think. So, yeah, we'll see. All right. Because I think this area here is sort of Hobbiton, isn't it? It eventually becomes Hobbiton. I think the Barrow Downs are around here somewhere. All right, okay. Let us continue with the episode.
Oh yeah.
Everybody starts in the east and migrates pretty much. All right, who's that handsome chap?
Yeah.
Okay, so meanwhile, we cut back to our
nighttime,
our Star Trek Elves squad, and now, okay, this whole sequence, I think it could have been better. I think it could have been a lot better, but it was actually pretty good. I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool, and I thought the whites were well realized, the way they came together. The chains thing was a bit weird. It was like, why have they got chains as weapons? Is it because they're chained to the area? It's very metaphorical. Or is it because they're related to the two Muppet characters from Muppet Christmas Carol, and they've lent them some of their Scrooge chains? With Marley and Marley, it's all very Bob Marley, the chains thing. So, but again, it's like, what the fuck's happening? Very, very dark. But I did like the way they did these. I like the way they kind of reformed. I like when they get attacked and the bodies come off. But then this whole sequence should have been much better. It should have been much more dramatic than it was. It was okay. It was not, on any other show, this would have been a good sequence. On Lord of the Rings, I wanted it with a bit more oomph. But
yeah, CGI was okay. I mean, it was all right.
I quite liked it. I thought they were well realized. Then you had that line, the line, they appear to be impervious to our weapons. You think? Because they're ghosts. These are elves. It's like they're kind of used to they've got a bit of knowledge about this kind of shit.
That one elf was a friggin' moron, though. Apparently, a lot of elves are dumbasses, because even whatever Elrond says, don't shoot it, and you shoot through it, and almost killed the one guy, but he knocked the arrow away.
Yeah. So one of our elves gets killed. It's the token black elf gets taken out.
Yeah,
not that one.
No.
in the squad.
The black elf had to get it.
Let's go back a still, because I want to talk more about this. Yeah. So he breaks into one of the tombs. He gets some weapons out of the tombs.
Yeah.
The weapons can kill the whites because they can only be killed by their own weapons. I kind of liked that. I don't know if that's true to the law. I kind of liked that. I thought that was kind of cool. But that whole sequence should have been much more dramatic. It should have been much more kind of, here, let me throw this to you, and catching it, and And I also think that they used them in the wrong way. What they should have done is they should have used them in a kind of will-o'-the-wisp, luring them and confusing them and all of that kind of thing. That tends to be what they did. And then they would kill people rather than just, it's a straight out fight. But overall, I liked this sequence. I'm not saying it was great, but it was, I was kind of like, yeah, this is kind of, feels Lord of the Rings-ish. This is kind of interesting. So, if it had been backed up by better direction, better script, because there's that line, they appear to be impervious to our weapons. It just was like, it was just, that was a terrible line. But I quite liked it as a sequence. Did you have thoughts on it?
All right. I mean, it's just like you said, it kind of they're trying to keep the tone like with Aragorn and the undead army. It felt kind of like you said, like the ring rates almost. So it was just like the shot, always shooting at nighttime. It's sometimes hard to see. It's kind of fast paced, but it was okay.
Yeah. I mean, another thing I liked about this sequence was that Galadriel actually needed help.
Shocking.
I know. It was one of the few, like Elrond actually was assertive, and he stopped her from being dragged off. She was like, "Don't let me go." She was vulnerable for a moment, and I just thought, yeah, we need a bit more of that. But Darth Plato is saying they didn't have +1 magic weapons.
Yep.
I think you needed more than a +1 sword to fight off a wight in D&D. I can't remember. Used to play a lot of D&D when I was a kid. So okay, then we come to
Arondir.
Arondir, and this is where they come across the what are they called? The wild men.
Yeah.
The wild men have abandoned their weapons on the ground. They have fled, or they've been taken. We learn later that some of them have been taken, some of them have probably been killed. And then they're also coming across the tracks of the orcs, which have been burning through the forest and stuff. Quite liked this set by the river. Thought it was quite nice. Felt very Lord of the Rings-ish. Clearly a set with just a blue screen,
I was going to say, I called that the whole, the green right there in the trees.
Yeah, but it worked. It looked fine. And I kind of was a bit like, where are they, though? I was a little bit confused. Where are we? Who are all these people? Were all these people with them before? Are they stopping off at a village? The common people. Why do the villagers care about Theo? Exactly. They wouldn't. They'd probably be quite selfish. And then, although we know this woman's up to no good, we have the kind of the flirting beginning between the two of them until he says, "Oh well, I noticed you had a wound on your neck." That whole thing with her trying to burn that mark with a sword is so stupid. She would have been better off just saying, "I was captured by the wild men, and look at this neck eye. Look at this. They branded me, but I'm a good person." Because that's what happens when you get recruited into gangs. You get taxed. On that, it doesn't mean you went willingly. So that all just seemed really stupid. But no, I fell into the fire, or whatever her stupid reason was. Well, why isn't your hair burnt then? Your hair would have been in front of the thing. So why didn't your hair catch fire? Makes no sense.
Look, another wide shot.
Another wide shot. We know where we are. We're in Hooded Wills. Yeah. Wooded Hills.
So yeah, they're captured by the tree. The trees have gone mad.
So I didn't realize when I first watched this episode that they were actually captured by an Ent. I just thought they were in some kind of enclosure thing.
Yeah.
Then obviously when I watched it the second time, it was very obvious. The big problem with this storyline of the three narratives we have in this episode is I don't care about anyone in this storyline. Not Gandalf is kind of growing on me, so I'm sort of getting a bit, invested in what's going to happen to him. I don't care about Galadriel because she's just such a poorly written, terrible one-dimensional character.
Yeah.
but I do care about their quest as a group. So I'm interested in their storyline. This storyline, I'm sort of like, I don't care about this kid or whoever. But that's kind of cool with the narrative of the orcs have been through here, because they burn as they go, don't they?
Yeah.
To get what resources they need. Okay, then we have this swamp scene. What did you think about this scene and the monster and all that?
Stuck in the mud. I mean, I guess it was like supposed to be for comedy because, that Rondra wasn't going to die to it. And it just, I captured a screenshot with the stupid dialogue. Like there's things out there that are evil, and with this thing we call it supper. I'm like, oh God, it's just the way he said it. I don't know. Just whatever this thing is, slug, snail monster. And yeah, he cuts right up the middle. It was all right.
I actually,
right there.
I thought that line made me laugh. I thought it was quite funny.
I laughed, but I don't know. I feel like I'm laughing because it was just cringy. Like, we call it supper.
Yes, he is the Meteor Man indeed.
I mean, it's a good set piece. I'm covered in mud, I guess.
The big I thought this sequence was quite well done. They proper went for it when they went into that mud shoot thing. They did that for real. That's a practical effect.
Yeah, I could believe that.
No, I've seen it on the making of. I've seen that they built a pit into the ground.
Yeah. Nice.
They covered the actors were proper covered in the mud, and he completely dived into it. He went right into it.
Nice.
Any gaps would have been filled up with CG post, but it was pretty practical, and they sold it to the actors. The actors agreed to do it because they sold it to them like it's going to be like you're in a mud jacuzzi. It's going to be great fun, and that's how they were sold it. It took them hours to get the mud out their hair and shit. Yeah, but I quite like the monster. I thought the monster was cool. It was kind of a cool sequence. The woman coming back with the stick, we already established that she's not a morally good person. So I didn't feel that there was enough for me to believe she would actually come back and try and help. I just thought she would have actually run away. So I didn't buy any of that. What's she going to do with that stick,
Yeah, she gave it to him. Yeah.
But that was an okay scene. Again, it was, these are better than some of the scenes we've had before. Quite liked it. Now we're back with the stores again.
Yeah, they're called stores. They're not Harfoots, they're stores. You
could change one letter and they would be called stalls. As in fecal matter. But
so good old Sadek Barrow, who died in season 1. He just died for reasons.
Well, this I hang on, go back. Let's see that map thing. That you just had, that she's kind of showing with a trail on it on the wall, if you can get it. Sadek Barrett. This whole story, I'm caveating this with it could have been done so much better, but this narrative made some of the things in the first season kind of make sense, right? But I was thinking, but we didn't need such a torturous road to get here, to get this information. This could have been a much shorter journey. But it was I quite liked the moment where it's like, I don't think the guy whose tale or story you've worshipped, I don't think he ever found where he was going. I think he didn't find it, and you can see she's kind of disillusioned. And I was like, wow, for the first time I'm seeing Nori actually emotionally react to something other than be all ooh, ooh, ooh. So again, I'm seeing things in the show that I haven't seen before. It is a bit of a case of too little too late, but I quite liked that backstory. I quite like the fact that tied into some things. Is it amazing? No, it's not. No, it's not. But some of the elements of this episode started shoring up some things for me. Anyway, the stalls. Yeah. Let's move on from there. If you get that's the thing I meant. So this is this is supposed to be that guy's journey, isn't it? And there's my friend Tanya Moody again. I went to see Avatar with Tanya at the IMAX. came out.
Yeah, and they mentioned that like they were telling us tales of maybe one day we'll get these hills, these rolling hills, and people can build like entire houses inside the hills. Hint, hint. Shire, hint. That's yeah. Like I said, then his goons show up with the horses. So they're with their evil horses. They got there pretty fast. He did. One thing I was surprised he slept. He just straight backhand her too, like to the ground.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Harfoots. We don't know about Harfoots. They're stores.
Yeah, so those guys suddenly teleport there. That was all a bit nonsense. I quite like the fact that they showed these guys kind of having this, moment of burying their comrade and looking all distraught. I thought that was good that they had that in there. Again, small things. I'll take the victories with this show wherever I can get them.
More tension with Galadriel and Elrond.
Yeah, she's so insufferable. She's right about everything pretty much all the time in her view. So I'm not surprised Elrond finds her so insufferable because we do. But I don't really think that that's a good quality of the writing. This is our main character from season 1. We should be rooting for her in some form. And since the show started, she hasn't gone anywhere in terms of her emotional narrative. She's still just like the brattish leader. I'm right about everything. Okay, I've got a ring now, and occasionally I feel the ring's power or whatever. I've got one of the elven rings, but I don't buy into it. I don't buy this whole warrior Galadriel storyline either, because I feel she should be an aloof kind of magician type that is more sort of based back home and doesn't go yomping out on adventures. She's more like she should be like a character who's taken a religious oath. So it feels like this character should have been a fictional character invented for the show, who maybe is a cousin of Galadriel or something. And yes, thank you, Jammer. That is exactly the word I was looking for. You do have to understand it is 1:20 in the morning in the UK. Ethereal. Yeah, she needs to feel kind of ethereal and aloof, and I just don't buy this, but that's what we've got. So well, we found out that one of the rings, the Elven Ring, can heal. It can heal and it can detect evil.
Oh, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Of course. Yeah, a little scene between her and Isildur, and Henton, she steals his sword.
Yeah, so once again,
and he's just like
proving she's evil, which contradicts. She would not have come back with the stick.
Yeah.
Or she wouldn't have done this, and she would have come back with the stick. This is where your narrative isn't making sense with this character. So I don't. Very poor writing.
Well, she was trying to say that, in the Wildlands, that's, she had to join Adar's cause or they would have killed her. So it was my fault. Like, well, you're not there anymore.
Yeah. Does that mean she, had to make love to the orcs? Is that where the orcs' babies come into it? I mean, let's explore that.
Yeah. Now we get the spoilers Ents, which,
Okay. Now, I thought the Ents were good. I thought the Ents were really visually, really strong. I loved their dialogue. I thought their dialogue was good. Actually, I thought their dialogue scene was one of the best scenes in the whole show to date. So their dialogue and Tom Bombadil's
has thou ever touched axe to wooded life?
Yeah, I loved all that. All of that felt, exactly like how Treebeard spoke, and it just sounded right. It sounded like what they would say. And of course, they were deciding whether to kill these people or not. And
we'll see, Lance. Watching Two Towers and Fellowship, these Ents move about triple the speed, though, because usually they're slow. These guys are moving fast.
Well,
but
in the Two Towers, the Ents have been asleep for a long time.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's part of the narrative that they and Ents generally seem to have gone to sleep in Middle Earth, because it's like there's an Ent in Buckland in the woods in Buckland, deep in the forest. There's only one, but people used to say there was something where the trees grew tall, but no one's seen or heard of that Ent for ages. And is it still there? Is it still alive? It's again because they've all gone to sleep. Plus, they've lost all the Ent wives. We've got an Ent wife here, so they've got a bit more. They've got a bit more in their step in this time zone.
Yeah, you can't get mad for having a female voice, because Treebeard does say that. We don't know where they went.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I like the Ent characters. I thought the Ent characters were great.
The CG was good on them. It's on par with what you expect from them.
CG was actually stronger than the original trilogy, as it should be for considering where we are. Really liked all this.
And that's good dialogue,
again, this Tom Bombadil's good. This scene was good. There were some good things in this episode which elevated it way above my previous scores.
And I like that disemboweling, uprooting, branch breakers, and trunk splitters. That's how an Ent would talk, to their credit.
Yeah.
Usurpers them all.
Of course, he's referring to the orcs who've been ravaging through the woods and destroying stuff. Forgiveness takes an age. I thought that line was great as well. Takes an age, and she means like a really long time.
Yeah.
And then I liked the whole speech. They talked about, their favorite time is like after a storm, when the forest is, you could really visualize that. You could hear that. I've walked through a forest right after a rainstorm in the morning when I've been camping, and you get that mist that hangs low in the trees, and you get the birds and all those scents, really felt that in this scene. So I thought someone's really sat down and thought about this scene. Someone's put pen to paper here, actually spent a bit of time on this one. Big contrast to some of the other shit that we get in the dialogue between the human characters or the elves. It's I was quite impressed with the dialogue in this scene, I'll be honest. Then the elf guy kind of spoils it and does his Mr. Spock thing with the hand on the tree. I guess we can buy that. The thing is, this character is just so one-dimensional that and we haven't really had him talking about doing his Greenpeace bit earlier in season 1, where he's talking about the love of the trees and the forest and stuff. And so I didn't feel there was any setup for, I know he's an elf and he's at one with the trees and he knows what he's doing with all that, but I just felt that could have been set up a little bit better. But quite liked all that.
Yeah, another wide shot, Lance.
Another wide shot. We're in a different part of the wood now. We know because there's another wide shot. The orcs are coming through the Star Trek. The Star Trek elf party is.
It's hard to tell here, but there's a orc CG right there. It says big orc in the background.
Now, let me enlarge that.
It's on the top right, but that's because it's a night shot. It's hard to see at night. But
where is he in the top right?
Oh, it's hard. The top right here. My cursor's at. That's the big CGI troll. I think it's a troll. I'm sorry, because the orcs are marching. Right about here.
This thing. Where I'm pointing my.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could well be a troll.
Yeah.
Can't fucking tell because they've gone all Game of Thrones with the lighting. So okay, so our Star Trek elf squad, red shirt number 2 is here. This whole scene is a bit nonsensical. Suddenly they're behind them, and these are elves, and it's like the elves can hear people coming from miles off. They would have smelled them. They would have known these guys were coming. Also, they would have posted at least one of these guys to keep an eye on behind them. They wouldn't all be staring straight out the same place. And if the orcs if that's the group of the orcs and they're marching down there, what are they doing up here then? Oh, did somebody say, well, you guys go up that way, see what that way is like? But that's up a big hill. I don't want to go up that. Well, you should go up there. Why? Well, we've heard there's a horse up there running around and you can eat it. No, it's all right. I'll stay down here. Thank you. Anyway, they're trying to kill a horse. I'm not sure whose horse this is. If it's been established, there's another horse running about that also. There always seems to be a horse that they're trying to kill.
I think they're just trying to eat it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
and then we're
shot in the stomach.
Then suddenly one of the elves gets accidentally shot in the stomach. They have to kind of keep him quiet while he's dying. And then Galadriel's ring suddenly glows and his stomach miraculously heals and the arrow falls out. So this is what's known in Dungeons and Dragons as a ring of healing.
There you go.
Where you roll 2 dice and your hit points are restored, which you always do instantly after a battle, and it's better than a healing potion because the ring of healing doesn't run out. You know, sometimes it has 90 uses or something. But so her ring of healing. And she tells the others to get the message because, of course, we forgot to mention they discover the message party have all been murdered. That's earlier in the show.
And she gives her ring to Elrond. Take it.
Now, this whole sequence is bollocks. I'm sorry. So, first of all,
I stand alone, Lance.
She announces her presence instead of actually let's start taking loads of them out and not showing them where I am. That's what you would do. You would attack. First of all, you'd set yourself up somewhere. Boom, take out that orc. Move to that next tree. Boom, take out that orc, and so on until you've got no arrows left. Then you would go in with the weapons. And you wouldn't charge into them as a group, hoping that because of poor quality writing and directing, 20 of them are going to stand over there and do absolutely nothing while you take on these 5 over here who are going to get killed. Honestly, some of the direction on this fight scene was nonsense. The other thing is elves are not ninjas, okay? Yes, they're good at combat. They have a certain fighting style and all that. You know, a little bit Steven Seagal with the wrists and whatnot, twirl around a bit, but they're not ninjas. They're not ninjas. She's doing all this ninja shit, twirling through the air, and then suddenly, all these torches suddenly have become like napalm. And she throws these torches up in the air. She's firing arrows at them.
Yeah, and they're exploding.
Balls of fire, even though they're not being thrown up in the air initially.
Right there, yep.
And of course, these orcs could easily just kind of go, well, I'm just going to move over here a bit. But so all of this is total bollocks. While she's doing that, any one of them could have rushed her and pulled her off the fucking horse. It's all just nonsense.
I shared that. I watched that about 5 times. It could be the CG or just a stump, but man, the way the bow cocks back and she just it's like the most laziest. It's hard to describe it. The shot. It's like even like Orlando Bloom Legolas when you shoot the arrow, and her is just like so like. I don't know, like the way she flicks her wrist, it's so like crappy. It's like,
she's not really. The problem is she's not really firing it.
Yeah, it's just like
whereas I think in Lord of the Rings, Orlando Bloom was firing a lot of those arrows.
Like, even the way she's holding the bow,
practiced that bow,
Yeah.
This could have been a really good fight.
When she fired that arrow.
What they should have done is, she should have maintained distance, killed a load of guys, gradually killed a few more guys, led them deeper into the wood.
Yeah,
she's looks like she's doing pretty well. Suddenly, your man Adar steps out from behind a tree, whack, knocks her out.
Yeah,
shall we kill her? No, this one's valuable. End of episode.
I saved it for next, just epic dialogue right here. Can't wait to see it.
So
go back to the shadow. I'm like, oh my God, she said it.
So I saw on the making of, because I watched the vignette at the end of the episode because, they're so cheesy, but people self-congratulating themselves in a fake studio with a fake audience laughing. But the 2 directors of this episode were Louise Hooper, who is British, and Sana Hamri. And by the way, nice facelifts, ladies. Lord of the plastic surgery. Actually, funny enough, I took a picture of that, which I sent to Drinker, and I've got it here. I just thought, like, what are you doing with your faces, Matt? Everybody in the Hollywood set, they all do this. They all do this shit to their face. Look at their cheeks. What's going on here? Those are the two directors. Some of the direction in this episode was okay. Some of it was not bad. That action sequence was not one of the bits that was good. So I'm curious to see what directing credits these ladies have had. Now, the American woman has done loads of big shows, very much kind of talking head narratives. Her biggest credit is that she did. She's one of the producers of Empire, which is a massive show, 97 episodes. And she's got 61 directing credits. So let's have a look at those. I'm guessing that. Okay, so she's done 8 episodes of Wheel of Time, and then a load of episodes of. Here we go. So 4 episodes of Wheel of Time as a director. She's done an Empire spin-off that doesn't seem to have taken root. 19 episodes of Empire, 4 episodes of Shameless. So the only one of these that's really an action show is Lone Star. Wheel of Time had some action. Wheel of Time, terrible show, terrible. Don't care about any of the characters in it. So she's originally from Morocco. And very successful. I mean, good luck to her. But I would be interested to know who directed this action sequence. So clearly, one of them's doing a couple of narratives, and the other one's doing a couple of narratives. So, Louise Hooper is a highly visual, innovative, wildly imaginative international drama director. Currently directing episodes of So she has done. Treason, that's not a bad show. Sandman, I haven't watched any episodes of Sandman. Some people seem to think it's good. The Witcher, Flesh and Blood, and she's gone through the. So you get on a course and you do the BBC directors course, and you do things like Holby City, Casualty, Vera, and then through that she became a television director. And I tried to get on that course, by the way. Nope. So no luck. And I can't believe my friend Avril. She was trying to get on it, and they're let's say that Avril is a different demographic to myself, and I really thought she was going to get on. Especially she was following in the footsteps of another friend of hers who has got on and has gone on to be very successful. She didn't get on. I was really surprised. I thought she was going to be off like a rocket. Wheel of Time is an abortion. Yeah, I didn't like it. I think it's been cancelled. It's been cancelled, isn't it? I think it's.
I don't know. I'll get check.
Yeah, have a quick look. So yeah, and then at the end of that fight,
go back
to Shadow, and then
when she said that, I'm like, did she really just say what Gandalf said to the Balrog?
Did he say the line exactly like that, word for word?
Go back to the shadow.
Was it just go back in shadow? Was it go back to the shadow? He said, I can't remember. I thought it was go back in shadow, but yeah. I mean, I don't like it when they appropriate the lines.
Yeah.
The star shines on the hour of our meeting. How do you like this guy?
Like you said, it's I don't hate the actor. He's okay. I mean, he's only in it for 2 seconds. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
He's such a little presence. I really can't rate the guy because he's barely there. I mean,
well, stick with him because I think he's going to be pretty good in this show. Episode 4. Okay, well let's all right. Let's list the positives first of all. So the positives for me, and I'm gonna score some points here. So this is how I'm gonna score my 10 out of 10. I'll give straight off the bat good interpretation of Tom Bombadil. Felt very like Tom Bombadil from the books. There's some stuff, all the stuff about him talking about the wizards and knowing the bigger picture, I don't think really fitted, but I'll buy it. It's fine. So definitely give 1 point for Rory Kinnear. Good presentation. Love all these big visuals. I love all the big wide shots. The show looked beautiful and the special effects were good. So 2, I like that. I liked the swamp monster, so that's another point for that. I liked the whites and that sequence generally, so that's another point for that. And I liked the scenes with Bombadil and not Gandalf. And then what was the other scene I said I really liked? I've forgotten it already, which is not a good sign. I quite liked the backstory with the Harfoots. Not their storyline per se, but I quite liked that. I'll give that a half. I'll give that a half point for that. But yeah, okay. So and the overall look of the show in general and use of locations, I'm quite happy with. So for me, this is a kind of, and the costumes are fine. The costumes are fine. I think some of the costumes could have been better than others, but yeah, they're good. The production design, art direction on this is great. Like I liked this guy's look. And I quite liked the flirting between the two of them. And I felt like this storyline could have happened in season 1, meeting these people and all of this. And I do like the mask, the guys with the masks, but I don't like the fact that they've got amazing teleportation. My friend Tanya was fine. It wasn't like she was given an amazing narrative at present. There's a big, I'm not quite clear on all the geography with this. So I'll probably give this episode overall, though, kind of like 5.5 out of 10. I'd give it about 5.5. About 5.5 out of 10. Yeah. Like the special effects as well. That on the whole, I thought they were good. So that's the highest for the benefit of the 16 people watching. That's the highest rating I've given any episode of Rings of Power, because this is I'm not just going to sit here and rubbish the whole episode, because there were things in it I thought they got right. There were things in it I thought they did well. The scenes with Gandalf and Tom Bombadil were engaging. They were funny. I felt like I was watching Tom Bombadil. Every time we cut back to Rory Kinnear, I thought, okay, I'm going to have some fun now. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
So there were scenes that I was quite engaged with. I was quite invested in. But there was a lot of stuff that was just like, So it's a shame that we're getting some quality, but not. It'd be great if we got a flawless episode.
Wow.
I mean, that's always subjective, of course. Everyone likes different things.
Yeah.
But we know the Balrog's coming. Did you see the preview trailer for next week?
I didn't watch. I didn't care less.
Right. Yeah. Well, what did you like about this episode?
Everything. Well, a little bit. I'm not as forgiving as you are with some of the the CGI here and the lighting. I thought was really bad, and especially that her fight scene at the end. Yeah, the Tom Bombadil stuff. I mean, obviously we talked about this before. They couldn't put him into the films because it's just too complex. So the first time seeing him on screen, his dialogue, his acting, that part I liked, and the show does look nice. I won't deny that, but that's about it. Like you said, the thing is, that's
at least 3 points.
That's it. That's because I don't care about the Harfoots and the stool people. The
problem is I don't care about any of the people in this party. And their storyline for the most part. Oh, the Ents! I loved the Ents. The Ents were great. So okay, I've got to put it up to a 6.5.
Yeah. Yes, I mean a Rondeer. I mean,
there was something else. I really liked it. I like the Ent dialogue. I like the Ent scenes. The problem was the Ent scenes were with these guys who I don't care about.
No, I still won't forgive him for the BS elf casting, because like people said, Jackson, Jackson filmed technically 6 movies, and casting was a certain way for a reason. And you guys, you're casting actors not because it's organic to the show, it's because you're too busy checking DEI check boxes. It's simple as that. And that's like, especially said with Rune and with the stool people, that would make sense because that demographic fits them. But the elves are fairer skin. That's how Tolkien writ them. They're not Asian descent and African American descent. That's how it is, guys. But whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's it's like people from Wakanda, they don't look like me. That's how it goes. I'm sorry. But
yeah, and I mean they could have they could have had a storyline with black elves. They could have introduced black elves as coming from some woods in the southern, near the Haradrim or something like that. They could have done that in a way that would have made sense, rather than the hodgepodge mix of people. We've got a mix of people everywhere, which I think just doesn't work. It's like
Drinker said this, and not to plagiarize his words, but yes, often shows like this, it looks not like a fantasy world, but like downtown Los Angeles, and that's not what you're going for in a fantasy setting. It's like if Tolkien wanted it, and Tolkien actually was from Africa, so it's not like the guy was racist by any means. If he wanted elves or dwarves or anything to like look a certain way, If dwarves have beards, give them beards. That's his world. That's his fantasy. I do understand why Tolkien purists hate this stuff for. But yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, Tom Bombadil had some pretty. The only thing worth watching was Tom Bombadil, and I'm sure at some point they'll probably butcher that.
So now we've come to the end of our discussion on Rings of Power episode 4, which is important, of course. I'm going to talk about something that I feel is more important. So people that are watching, please stay with us. I want to talk about this nonsense campaign on, Dear Team YouTube and all of that. So I don't know if you've seen this, but
some of it, obviously, Drinker tweeted stuff out, Nerd Rod did,
a load of the Star Wars fans who love the Acolyte are now, calling for a ban on YouTubers critiquing things, and this is just utter nonsense.
It's so petty.
As soon as I saw this, I said, look, first of all, I'm a diehard Star Wars fan, okay? And don't anyone try and tell me different. I have my Lego Death Star right there. And then I also have my 6-foot Super Star Destroyer as well, of course. One which no one else owns. Why is that? Well, because I made it. That's why. So, so I really take offense to people, especially when we took the time to review the Acolyte, you and me, and we were very constructive about it. And we actually said from the get-go, before we did it, we wanted the show to be good and we wanted to like it. And one of the reasons I decided to do that stream was because of the big pushback against it before it came out. I was like, no, come on, got to give it a fair shake. It might be good. And it wasn't good. It was terrible. And here is my 6-foot Super Star Destroyer. There you go. I built that. So it's from my Return of the Jedi space battle game. Anyway, so I am a big Star Wars fan, for anyone who's doubting me. And these people do not represent me. You can't go online and say, oh, these people are all haters and da-da-da-da-da. And this is nonsense. I've had lots of discussions with different people about the Acolyte from all different demographics, sexuality, age, race, etc. And the one thing that unites them all about the show is that they think that the writing of the show is extremely poor and that the narrative of the show is extremely weak and that it just wasn't very well thought out. It wasn't very well executed. And you know how much it cost. What was the money spent on it again? Was it 180 million or 180 million or something?
Yeah.
A ridiculous sum of money for not even 8 hours of television. It's more like 6 with titles and recaps and all that, because each episode was around 25 minutes. So, and I just find it absolutely infuriating that you write saying, you know, that you represent all these people, hundreds of people. You don't. You only represent yourself when you write. And sure, a load of you got together and you coordinated all this, and that's great. But the show was rubbish. Stop blaming this on the fans who didn't watch it, or the fans who complained about it, etc., etc., etc. It was just not a good show. It's not a good television show, full stop. Even if it had been a science fiction show that wasn't set in the Star Wars universe, just about these characters and stuff, it was poorly executed. It was terrible writing. It was, you know, basic things like you've got two twin characters. What do? You make them meet in the first episode of an 8-episode show. Having two twin characters that don't know about each other, who might get mistaken for each other at different times and don't meet until later in your story, is a massive trump card. What do? You throw it away in episode 1. All of this stuff's just very, very poor. So, you know, I took personal umbrage with this. So I wrote to YouTube and I complained, and I said that this is nonsense. And I also talked about freedom of speech, and that if people want to go on and say the show is rubbish, and they can be, you know, they can articulate that how they feel fit, then they can go ahead. And if other people want to come on and defend the show and say it's good, great. But if the studio have turned around and said, we ain't making this again, and you know why? Because not a lot of people thought it was very good. The writing's on the wall. Well, you know, bite the bullet, because it was crap. I mean, and the funny thing is all the YouTubers that were making money off it, they all want a second season, because they're going to make loads more money off the second season. No second season gives them nothing to talk about. I personally don't want to see a second season. Watching the first season was torturous enough, because I don't do this and think about how much money I'm going to make on each stream I'm doing. I just talk about stuff I want to talk about. Doing Rings of Power was all Blue's idea, so I'm just so for
definitely
benefit of everyone listening. That was completely his fault.
It's not my idea.
Adam Gray says YouTubers never treated me fairly, but they did the right thing today. Yeah, YouTube responded, and you know, they said our team took special care in reviewing the content as fairly as possible. We really appreciate your understanding as we work to uphold our community guidelines to the best of our abilities. They basically said no, and it failed. And if they had, by the way, have suddenly started taking down loads of the big channels, YouTube would be finished, because everybody would leave and go somewhere else, where their freedom of speech is not, you know, so, and all this stuff about weaponizing. These are the people that are the toxic fans. These are the toxic people right here. And I find this whole reverse gaslighting thing. Fuck off with that. Fuck off. You are not proper Star Wars fans, man. You know, and you don't love these shows. I don't believe you. So yeah, I'm pretty annoyed that these people got together to try and do this, and but I'm really pleased that YouTube have responded the way that they have. So get lost.
That's why I said, man, I respect people for what they do with this platform, Lance, but it's never been my intention for situations like these where I've seen channels get taken down or struck for the most BS reasons, and I like having an actual job I can rely on. I would never want a platform like this to be my main source of income, just because of the things you can't say or do, you know, and because people hate opinions. And I mean, I don't agree with it, but it happens more often than not. At least like every job I've been to, I can't get fired for having an opinion at my job. But these social media platforms, boy, it takes one wrong tweet or one wrong word, and well, you can lose millions of dollars in sponsors if you're big enough, and I don't want to ever be in that position.
Well, indeed. While I'm here, I'll show people some more fun pictures. So in addition to building a 6-foot Star Destroyer, I'm also a bit of a World War II guy. And here is some of the collection of my stuff. So these buildings along the top here, these are all from an Operation Market Garden game. I've got a massive setup for the bridge, which I'll show you a picture of in a minute. So these forces are all for that. This stuff over here is 10 mil. So this is for little soldiers, tiny soldiers, and these are for big soldiers over here. So yeah. Hi, Sir Clueless. How you doing? Good to see you. The common people. Acolyte saved my life. And listen, if Acolyte was good for you, I'm all down with that. But it's this gaslighting of fan thing.
Save something.
No one's taking responsibility for why the show failed. And why the show failed was because it was crap. It wasn't very good. That's why it failed. You know, don't give us all this BS. Well, Atom Grey, if you're getting jealous of all that kit, prepare to be more jealous as I dish out more stuff. So let me have a look now. I've got some really terrible photos as well, but I did this really big game of the Battle for Arnhem Bridge at a games convention called Salute. Salute 2006 was when I had my game there. I'm just trying to find the I had trouble finding this folder earlier, or last night when someone did an interview with me, and that's when I remembered I had all these photos on this stick. So I thought, well, next time I'm online, I need to show some of these. 1/32, 10 mil. Oh, okay, it must be in here. So let's have a look. What's what we got here? Okay, this is some of my 10 mil stuff, right? So this is quite tiny. This is a German 88 with a crew in a ruined house. It's quite a nice little bit. So I can set up like really huge games, but finding people to play games with is like a proper mission these days.
Yeah, definitely.
I do belong to a games club, but most people tend to prefer playing the games at the club because on weekends, you know, they've got family and kids and all that kind of stuff. And if I had kids, man, I'd be playing board games with them and stuff like all the time. So, wow, where's my Arnhem game gone? My big one. Let me just 2008. Hang on. So what have you got coming up while I'm looking for this?
I'm about to hop in Nadia's stream soon. She just saw Beetlejuice 2 and wants to talk about it.
Oh yeah, man. So you know word on the street is you think it was good.
I grabbed this. That was recently deceased. The popcorn tin. That's all it was, like this.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't have some sort of
like got the popcorn now.
Popcorn trinket to show us, you know.
Yeah, it's like anything, you know, people, not everyone's loving it, but I'm also more forgiving. And my initial analysis, I'll tell you more Tuesdays, that, you know, Drinker said this as well. Like Predator 2, I don't think it's as good as Predator 1, but I like Predator 2.
I like Predator 2.
Yeah, I don't think it's not as iconic, but I enjoy the sequel. Not every sequel is as good as part 1. There is some pacing issues with Beetlejuice 2, but the biggest thing, and you and Inside Man would love this, is that Burton really loves practical effects. There's some CGI, it's 2024, guys, but there's a lot of practical effects.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get into it with her, and then Bush. Then Bush. Wow, Boucher. Gooch is going to do episode 1 of Terminator 0 at 10 o'clock. So.
Oh, that's good. So, have you seen it all now?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Some pacing issues with the show, but I overall enjoy it. But I said, you know, we are criticizing stuff. You
were right though, that like, because I was episode 5, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. I'm kind of like a bit bored, and then it got to episode, then it got to episode 7.
That's my favorite.
And that just turned everything around.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, man, this game's pretty good. Yeah. Check this out. So this is the baddie bass from the James Bond movie You Only Live Twice. So here you go. This is from a game show. So on the helicopter pad here, you've got little Nelly here on the pad. So that's the helicopter that Bond flies around in and blows shit up. And you got the rocket, and there's you can't see it here, but there's actually the bridge that goes over with the piranhas in it underneath it and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got loads of these. I should do I'll do a gaming stream thing, so specifically to talk about all this shit at some point. Have you did you say you started watching The Shield? Was that have you started?
No, I was gonna watch it this week because we got till next Sunday, just episodes 1 and 2 for you, and then after I'll slow it down because there's so much out there. I actually been watching Mary Kingstown, finishing that. God, I love this show so much.
Oh, it's good. I'm up to speed because it's it finished a few weeks ago.
I watched the first 2, and I purposely waited for it to end, so I'm watching 1 a day. I'm like episode 8 now, so I got 2 more to go. And Jeremy Renner, I love Jeremy Renner.
I mean, he's really good in it. We'll probably have to do a special on just the Mary Kingstown.
Yeah, I mean, Toxic want to do it breakdowns, do it all the time because we used to see how long it takes me to do stills just for 1 episode. He's like, we can do the whole season. I'm like, no, you can, I can't. I'm like, again, like, you don't understand like the time it takes me to do this stuff, Wes. It's not like I'm sitting down for 5 minutes and doing this. Like, this is hours upon hours, which I'm not complaining, but like it's a very time consuming endeavor, which I don't have at the moment. So
okay, I finally found the right folder. So before we wrap up, this is a picture. Oh, that's not a great photo though. It's all blurry. Get another one. This is a picture of my Arnhem Bridge game. So those buildings that you saw on the shelf. This is what those buildings were for when it's all set up properly. And it's a garden railway bridge that I had built especially for the game. And there's this company that builds these things. So I sent them the specification for it. And and so I had this at a game show, and I thought this was the year I was going to win. And I couldn't believe it. I still didn't win the best game. I was kind of a bit miffed about that, I'll be honest, because this was like the year I went all out. And there was a Dam Busters game there that year. And I think the Dam Busters game is the one that won, which I was not happy. I was not happy about that. But their game was good, to be fair to them. Now I've got so many pictures open now I can't find you. Let me leave that over there, close this. So let me get back onto StreamYard. Where's StreamYard gone? Oh, there we are. Okay. All right. So let me show a couple of these pickies here. Yeah. So this is you can see the bridge. This is Arnhem Bridge in the background here. This is underneath the bridge. So this is the battle's all in full swing, and there's like smoke and bodies and things everywhere. For anyone who's just coming on, by the way, we've knocked Lord of the Rings on Rings of the Power on the head. There's nothing more to say about that. We're just looking at some fun pictures of my stuff. So this one's a bit better because you can see a lot of the models and things in this one. So this is like fighting near the bridge. These German figures here, these are all metal, so that they're like really heavy.
Yeah.
And this building here is Frost's headquarters, so that would be the building that Anthony Hopkins was in A Bridge Too Far, which was a lot of fun. I've got one picture of the whole thing. which gives you, but it's just a really low res JPEG, which is kind of annoying. And this is a good one from underneath the bridge in the game. Here you go. So that's you can see there's like British paras and things hiding behind various bits and bobs. When you come over to the UK, we're gonna be playing with all this shit. You know that, don't you? So yeah, and this is sorry, it's quite low res, but this is like the whole thing. So this is the rampart. All the Germans come steaming over here, all get shot up. This is the big metal bridge. I've still got all this. I think there are some bits of it that need a bit of repair, but so do a fly through with your cell phone. Well, I don't have it set up, unfortunately. But yeah, didn't have a cell phone with a camera when this was last set up. But yeah, so there you go. The Shield is dope. He's just started season. Oh, so Darth. Darth's only just started watching it. So, dude, this just goes to show how good it is that you're on season 3 already. It's so good, isn't it? Because Darth is going to come on with us to talk about that. Yeah. So, is there anything else we want to mention before we call it?
All set, man.
So that was Rings of Power episode 4, which Blue gave a 3 out of 10. I kind of gave it a 6 out of 10. I thought it was a bit better than, but don't get me wrong, it's a bit of a case of too little too late. You know, there's some good things, but not enough good things, and still some pretty poor things. Thank you to anyone new for the channel. If you haven't been here before, do like and subscribe. Thanks to the regulars that were in. We had Ryan Randall, Boosh, McFadden, not to be confused with the other Boosh, Darth Plato, Keithy, of course, Common People, Snorter Poopus, who I don't normally see in my chat, but it's great to have him here for the first time, Atom Gray. These are the days when I can call everyone's name out. So Clueless, I said Common People, didn't I? Ryan Randall, Jamalama was in earlier. So this is how I remember all my loyal followers. We had Bo Romeo as well. There was plenty of... Oh, yeah. So, you know, Space Ice. I recommended Space Ice to Drinker. And I was like, have you seen this guy's videos? And he's like, no. I said, right, I'm going to send you one. And I said, he'd be great to get on Open Bar. So, yeah. I didn't expect him to look like how he looked with his massive mullet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it looked very different to how I thought he was going to look. So not your typical YouTuber. He looked like he'd stepped off the set of Miami Vice. Stitch, thank you for coming in earlier as well. Good to see you earlier. DJ Play Nice was here. Thank you, Ryan Randall, again for that super chat. Really appreciate that. Okay, well, we're going to sign off. So thanks for tuning in. If you haven't seen my feature film, it is available on the channel. You can watch it for free. It's really about it's kind of an unusual subject. It's mostly shot in Greece, and it's about dealing with loss, but it's quite an uplifting film. So if you're ever dealing with a bereavement you're finding quite difficult, that is why I made this movie. So why don't you check it out?
I'm going to tell you a story about 3 men. Each one of those men had lost someone, and losing that someone had made them feel like they'd lost everything.
At least on this earth, we all will lose the ones we love. That is part of life.
Why me? Why did I have to be the one? Why couldn't she just have lived?
You don't want to know these things. As you say, they don't concern your country. When you go back, you'll only remember the beauty you see here, and nothing else will really be important.
Hector. Let me tell you what happened next.
Hello? Contact right! Get away from me! This is my decision. My time to go. When you refer to the past lives, Of course, you speak of reincarnation.
Well, there you go then. Live fast, die young.
I don't think anyone ever gets over losing someone. I wish I could stay here forever, but real life beckons, I suppose.
What you need to understand about life is that life is not a puzzle to be solved. It's a mystery to be lived. What you've got to decide is, do you want to live it?